Hello and welcome to episode 104 of the MisanthroPod. I am Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
I am also joined by Drumblebum. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you lovely gentlemen doing this fine, incredibly warm evening?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good. Snipe?
I am functioning within normal parameters, thank you.
Good.
Excellent.
Wib, what have you been up to these last 2 weeks?
I would love to say that I have been doing a lot, but that would not be an accurate statement. Although, yeah, I have been doing little bits and pieces here and there. Lots of painting and stuff. If people have been following, or if people follow me on the Twitter, I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I've been doing a hobby streak thing.
Yeah, aren't you up to like day 40?
Yeah.
40 day, 40k.
Yay!
Oh, now you can never post again.
But yeah, if you don't know what that is, it's a thing people do where every day they post a little bit of their progress on painting and modelling and stuff.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So yeah, I've been doing that, which has mostly been posting incremental pictures of goblins, but you know, that's just me, innit?
I mean,
Post Gobbo pics.
I mean, I'm up to like 54 or something, like grots painted now.
So what, that's like 47 points?
I mean, it's like 150, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm over halfway of my goal of trying to get 90 painted this year, so that's quite cool. I'm bearing in mind that I painted 59 models in total last year.
Nice.
Wow, okay.
So the fact that I've nearly painted as many just of grots alone, and that doesn't count everything else that I painted. But yeah, so I've been doing that. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then you can see that.
And if you're not, why are you listening to this fucking podcast?
I mean, I don't assume everyone cares about my goblins.
That's loaded statement there.
It's perfectly fine for someone to listen to the podcast and not be interested in my goblin progress.
Okay. I was going to say you're gobless, but it just sounds really weird.
That sounds awful, and I would ask that you never say those syllables again.
Because it sounds like you're saying God bless, but with a mouthful of like frozen blueberries.
It does, very specific, but I see what you mean.
Get it. You get it. Yeah. Also, isn't it weird how blueberries are green on the inside? Like, wow.
Yeah, blueberries are liars.
All blueberries are like. That's why. It's not Vanessa Hudgens, the really spoilt brat from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, who gets turned into a blueberry.
Yeah, Vanessa Hudgens. That's her character.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets turned into a blueberry because, I don't know, was she on, like, CITV or something? I don't fucking know. But yeah, so that's weird, and I've immediately forgotten what we're talking about. Goblins! They're fantastic.
Yes.
Love goblins.
What I should mention is that one thing that I did start a few days back was I have a new podcast, as well as this podcast.
It's a new podcast that's way better than this podcast.
Yes, I am a traitor. So I guess I should slip into podcast advert mode. You know, when people, you know, when you listen to a podcast and you hear a really awkward advert in there?
No.
Like, okay, so...
Hang on, we need a jingle.
Okay, I can't be bothered to put one in post, so can you just, like, do a jingle with your mouth, Matt?
Okay. Do, Wib does pods.
Hello, I am Wib. You may know me from such podcasts as the MisanthroPod. If you like hearing me talk about science fiction, and I know I do, then you should check out Men with Funny Heads, a new science fiction podcast I am doing with my good friend Longfang. We have done one episode where we talk about Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. Spoilers, it's not very good, but we'll be updating that every couple of weeks, and we should have some fun guests. You can find it currently on YouTube and SoundCloud, and soon it shall be available on things like Spotify and iTunes, and all places that good podcasts are sold.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. I don't know. fuck it, whatever.
I love it how you started off with Andromeda, like,
You got to make sure people's, like...
expectations aren't set too high.
People's expectations have to be sufficiently lowered. They can't come in expecting, like, good content.
Yeah.
Well, like, I was about to clarify. When you said it's not very good, you were talking about Andromeda, not the podcast.
Yes, I was talking about Andromeda. I haven't actually listened to the podcast, but I was their first YouTube subscriber.
You
Nice.
were, yes.
Power move.
Excellent.
It's a little bit scary starting a new YouTube channel again.
Yeah, I bet.
To start from zero, because... Well, we've done it with Snipe and Whip,
Yeah,
like the main channel.
We sweat blood and tears to, like, it's fucking hard yakka getting to 33k. And starting off at 0 is like, I've been born again.
Well, I mean, I've already done it before with my little side channel as well, which I've got up to
which
like...
is wildly successful anyway.
Well, I've got up to like 5k,
I keep getting
think.
subscribers on mine, and I haven't done anything in like 3 years.
You should probably do something with
I
your
should
side
probably
channel.
complete Dream Daddy, actually.
You should. I missed that
should.
series. No pressure, of course. But
Wait, really?
yeah, I really liked that series.
That's nice. Okay.
Does it have Steam Cloud? Because otherwise, that might be an issue.
I don't know. But now I own 2 copies of it because they gave it away with Twitch Prime recently.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just play 2 of them at once, and that means that my completion will be doubled and my time will be halved.
I
That's
am
actually how that works.
100% sure that's not how it works.
I mean, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And terrible.
Can I just say, before we move on, your new podcast has the best name, by the way.
I'd say
you.
it's maybe a little bit down, because I know you and Longfang, and you have very handsome heads.
Well, the name Men with Funny Heads it comes from what my granddad used to call Star Trek. Which...
Oh, you're watching the Men with Funny Heads?
Yeah, I think there was like variants of it. Sometimes like blokes with funny foreheads and things like that. There'd be variants of it, but Men with Funny Heads seemed like the best way to like average out the various names. So that's where it comes from, if you're wondering.
I was honestly wondering, because the hardest part of anything is naming something. It's like you want to create a new D&D character. The hardest part, naming.
Yeah.
The part that
impossible.
the part that I am most upset about in just general is how so many of the things that I have been involved with I've ended up naming despite not being very good at naming things.
I think that's part of the charm.
Like I came up
Men with Funny Heads is so bad, it's amazing.
Yeah, MisanthroPod, that was me as well.
I remember the night you thought of it, because like I was at the computer and I think I was on like fucking Seattle time or something. And you went to bed. You came in like an hour later. Like you ran in your underwear and went, "I've got it."
Because we'd recorded the first episode, but we didn't have a name for it.
Yeah, and you were like, "The MisanthroPod," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And thus,
Yeah.
see, I was gonna call it like Snipe and the Naughty Boys.
And it's a very good job that it didn't use that name. The band, Fighting Evil is Cool, that was me
That's
too.
a terrible name, yeah.
Yeah, it was originally Brand New Hero, which was
We then found out there was
already
another-
had a band in like just a couple of counties over.
Yeah, but they like stopped being a thing quite soon. So
That was your D&D character, which I named.
yeah, but that's
I'm
not
really proud of that. Of,
normal.
like, yeah.
That's the point. Actually, I did paint. I have now got a model of normal.
Oh, back to goblins.
Yeah,
Painting goblins.
yeah. If people don't remember, a few months back now, some of us played a one shot of D&D, and I played a goblin called Normal.
Yeah, but do the voice.
It was based entirely around the joke of me being able to walk up to people and go, "Hi, I'm normal." But I found out I had a handful of grot parts from Badrook's like ammo runt, like the old resin ones, that when combined together made an excellent version of Normal. So Normal is now hidden inside of my grot mobs. But if I ever need to play him in D&D, I now have a physical model of him, which is pretty great.
So you could say, he's above average. Wait, no, I've lost it.
Yeah,
It was going to be like, he's super normal, and I'm like, well, that is technically correct, but it is also something no one ever fucking says, like calling a maid a daily. Have you ever heard that before? Apparently it's an English term, of referring to a housekeeper as a daily.
What?
I don't have a housekeeper for
No.
multiple reasons.
Okay, I mean, that's not what I'm asking, but
I
have
have
you ever
literally
heard that?
never ever heard that term before.
Because E.L. James, the woman from 50 Shades of Grey, she wrote, like, a porny, like, fucking, like, oh, there's a maid from, oh shit, where is she from? Albania? And, like, she's in the country illegally, and then she starts cleaning the house of this rich fuckwit who's like, ooh, we're in love, but I can't be with my daily. And they keep referring to her as a daily, and it's just fucking weird.
Why have you read
Okay.
this?
Oh, this is an E.L. James book.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain why you read it.
I didn't read it.
Okay.
I listened to it being read, and it fucking sucked. Well, I didn't listen to all of it being, like, read, because... Ugh.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with that term at all. I've never heard it, and
Yeah,
I
I
feel
didn't think so.
we're somewhat getting off the rails here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I am here.
Yeah, but I feel like we should try and retain some proximity to the rails.
I'm like a magnet for rails. You know how you turn a magnet round and then they repel each other? That's me. I
Yeah,
repel
yeah.
the rails.
Um,
And you guys are just clinging on
You are
desperately.
you are a maglev train.
Thank you. I'm glad you made that, because I was about to make a maglev joke too.
Good.
A mad lib train.
A mad lib train. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
No, is that what you fucking
No,
said?
a maglev.
Maglev.
Yeah.
That sounds like a handgun.
It's levitation done by magnets. Hence maglev.
Also like what Magneto does.
No, but let's go with it.
Okay.
I'm going to carry on. So anyway, yes, I've painted goblins, and you should go listen to my podcast. It is a thing that exists.
Also, I was on the Lonely Havoc podcast.
You were, yes.
Yeah.
When's that coming out?
Great question. It'll probably be out by the time this is out.
If it comes out the same date it does every month, it will not.
Okay, well,
Probably.
yeah. But yeah, look up the Lonely Havoc podcast, because, like, Lonely Havoc is a fucking awesome dude. And he's very lovely. And I basically went off the rails and talked about absolutely nothing for 2 hours, and he was kind enough not to, like, disconnect the call and block me. So definitely go check him out.
Yes. Anyway, on to things I have done, though I haven't got much done because of various bits and pieces. I did check out a few series and things. So the first one was because I've run out of Star Wars series to watch.
Yeah, you've watched, like, every Star Wars.
Yeah, except, like,
The porn parodies.
I was going to say, like, is it Forces of Destiny? Like, those shorts and things?
Yeah.
I haven't watched
Little
those.
webtoons.
Yeah, but they're like webtoon stuff, so I don't really count them.
I mean, they'd probably be quite hard to watch because they are aimed at, like, kids.
Yeah,
so.
and I haven't watched Droids or Ewoks, but that's because Disney are cowards and haven't put those on Disney Plus.
Yep.
But so I'll because like I'm thinking we might cancel the service soon because I've kind of watched everything I wanted to watch in
Yeah.
it. Like, but I did watch a couple of bits and pieces on there. One of which was that I finally, after like 20 years, got to see the end of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Was it good? Was it worth it?
No, but
Oh,
it
no.
was decent. But, you know, how many things are actually worth waiting 20 years for?
I don't know. Chocolate licorice.
No.
No, you're right. I need it now.
But yeah, for those not familiar, there was a Spider-Man series made, I think it was between 1994 and 1996.
Sorry. For those who aren't aware, chocolate licorice is a staple of Australian like confectionery. I was just like, why are you telling everyone about that? But now I really want it, so thanks.
Okay, I mean, I didn't say that, so...
You did in my mind.
Okay. So, the Spider, I think it's called The Amazing Spider-Man, I think is its official name.
Yeah. Because I remember he would jump on the Amazing Spider-Man logo at the end of every intro.
And I remember watching it loads at the time, and right at the end of its run, it did a adaptation of Secret Wars. Or Secret War. I forget if it's plural. It doesn't matter.
They every fucking 10 years they do another Secret War kind of thing. So.
But the general idea is that Spider-Man gets in a bunch of other Marvel superheroes, and then fights a bunch of Marvel supervillains on this alien planet.
It's basically Battle Royale.
No.
I think that was the joke, but okay.
So it's really cool because they did a load of Marvel comic adaptations at that time. They get in a lot of the same people to like voice them and have the same interpretations of the characters. So like they have Storm from the X-Men in there.
Storm is legit.
From the X-Men cartoon with the best theme tune.
Oh,
yes.
so
They
good.
get in the Fantastic Four, who had their own cartoon at the time. They get in Iron Man, who again had a cartoon at the time. Gets Captain America, who I think that's
voiced by David Hayter?
Yeah, that's the one where it's voiced by David Hayter.
Yeah. Didn't they have Blade in there as well?
Not in that run,
Okay.
no. Because there was a bunch of cameos throughout the series.
Because I know the Punisher shows up.
The Punisher does show up.
In his, oh my god, in his stupid headband and white gloves and fucking white boots. It's like, Frank, we get it.
He's not got that design.
No?
No. He's got
not
one where
the one where they got the trench coat and the bandana.
He's got a bandana. He basically looks like Snake. He's even in similar colours because he's in kind of an off-green colour for the most part. He's actually, I didn't really realise that, he's very Snake in this one. He's just Snake with a Punisher skull.
You know, a lot of my life is starting to make sense
Yeah.
now. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But the thing is, there's this little arc where all these superheroes and supervillains all fight. And at the end of it, because it's basically been pulled together by this entity called the Beyonder, who's like a godlike being, and Madam Web, who'd appeared periodically throughout the series. And then right at the end of this run, I think it's like 4 or 5 episodes or something, Spider-Man is then told, but now your greatest challenge awaits you, and then he gets whisked away. And I never saw what happened after that.
Oh.
Like, I didn't know what came after that, and it's always bothered me.
He has to bake a cheesecake without it sinking in the middle. Am I right, everyone?
No.
You've never baked a cheesecake.
No one should bake cheesecake. Baked cheesecakes are the worst compared to not baked cheesecakes.
I mean,
Fight me.
cheesecake is cheesecake, and cheesecake is good.
I'm not trying to make any comment about the correct or incorrect ways to prepare a cheesecake. It's just that I'm talking about Spider-Man, and in it, he does not create cheesecake.
You can't say that for sure.
I can,
Have you
because
read the comics?
Well, I've watched...
Yeah, I didn't fucking think so.
I've watched these episodes, and it does not contain cheesecake.
But maybe it had a cameo, like a little, like, in the background. As like an Easter egg for eagle-eyed viewers who'd read the comic books.
It may have done, but also, I don't care. I don't care about cheesecake, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners, but I don't care about cheesecake.
Wib is cancelled. I'm cancelling Wib.
Anyway, the final couple of episodes, it turns out I had seen a bit of them, but I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen the whole episode, so I didn't have the context for it. It's basically one of the episodes. It's basically kind of brushing against the Spider-Verse thing, where Spider-Men from different realities are all pulled together. So one of them's still going through like the man spider thing, so he's got 8 arms.
That arc freaked me out when I watched it as a kid. It was super scary.
One of them's like Iron Spider type deal. One of them's got like Doc Ock's arms.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
One of them's
do they have the punk spider in there?
They didn't, but they do have. Oh, what's it? It's Scarlet Spider.
Scarlet Spider.
Yeah. And they then have to deal with like Spider Carnage, who's basically Spider-Man, but he got Carnage instead.
Sparnage.
And he's gone insane, basically.
Anyone who's interested in the cartoon canon, I don't know if it's shared with the comic books of the time, but it was the Green Goblin. Or was it the Hobgoblin? Who basically was like, I'm going to introduce a symbiote in here, and he chucks it to this guy in a maximum security prison who's just like a gibbering maniac.
Yeah, what he does is, because there's like a reoccurring thing of like a portal generator that occurs multiple times throughout the series, like that tech comes up, and the Green Goblin uses it to free Eddie Brock and give him back the Venom symbiote, because that's shown earlier on in the... In the series. I actually rewatched that bit as well, just because Venom. I think the whole like Venom arc is kind of fun. And then he just goes next door and finds a raving lunatic, and it's like, I should give you a symbiote too. And that's where Carnage comes from in that continuity. I know it's different in like mainline comic.
Yeah, but in the in the continuity of the TV show, that's where Carnage comes from.
But yeah, so basically the bit I was missing, because I don't feel bad about spoiling a kids television show from 24 years ago, is that Spider Carnage was going to set forth basically combine the portal weapon with like some other tech, and basically make it into something that would destroy reality, but it would also have like a cascade effect and destroy every reality.
But Spider Carnage doesn't care, because Spider Carnage
Spider Carnage.
That's what I said. Is like just a big murdery naughty man.
He's gone a bit wrong.
I mean, Spider Carnage.
Yeah.
He is wrong.
Now, where this gets kind of weird is because there's obviously we have prime timeline Spider-Man, we'll say, for this, but there's also a Spider-Man who won't say where he's from, but he doesn't have any powers. He's just a guy, but he's wearing the spider suit. So Spider Carnage is defeated. They go through a couple of different realities. So you see like a reality where William Fisk is like Peter Parker's lawyer. And
you mean Wilson Fisk?
Wilson Fisk, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. It happens, don't worry.
I had that thing where I was like, I'm sure I got that wrong, but it's fine, I'll just barrel on.
Well, sorry.
No, it's fine. And Uncle Ben's still alive in that universe as well. So, that's how they beat Spider Carnage, is they bring out Uncle Ben to basically talk some sense into him, because it's like, it gets through to him enough that he, kills himself, basically.
Oh, fucking hell.
He couldn't separate himself from the symbiote. He'd been connected to it for too long.
Right. That's still pretty extreme for a kid's show.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And so reality saved, and me finally seeing, how that story arc ends. Then, powerless Spider-Man, they explain and go, oh yeah, by the way, he's an actor. He plays Spider-Man in the Spider-Man TV series. And so they go into that universe, which is presumably supposed to be ours, even though we don't have a live-action Spider-Man series at that point.
Well, maybe he was like the
actually,
the 70s Japanese one.
Yeah, I was going to say, have they ever made a live-action Spider-Man series apart from the Japanese one where he has a giant mech called Leopardo?
Oh, I think they did, actually, and it was around the 70s.
Did you say Lea Hardon?
Leopardon.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
It sounds like Leo Hardon, though, doesn't it?
He has been canonized in one of the more recent Spider-Verse comics.
Yes, he has.
Which is great.
So good.
So he goes into, for the sake of argument, our world, and then meets Stan Lee.
I looked over and I was like, why the fuck is Stan Lee there? I mean, okay, fine.
Because you say, is that supposed to be Stan Lee? I'm like, yes, it is actually Stan Lee. You're like, what? I'm like, don't ask. So yeah, he basically comes to our world and sees that, that there is a world where he is a hero, even if he's fictional in that one. And then he gets taken away by Madam Web to go, basically, as his reward for saving reality. They're going to go and find Mary Jane, because in that continuity, he got married to Mary Jane.
Oh, didn't he, kill her with his radioactive jizz?
No, it's a kid's TV show.
They literally have the enemy commit suicide.
Yeah, but I think radioactive jizz, which was in the comics, by the way, that is a thing.
Is he strong? Listen, blood. Listen, bud. He's got radioactive spunk.
There's like a weird vocoded, the little intro theme has like this weird vocoded kind of distorted.
Where it just goes, Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I could never make out what he was supposed to be saying at one part of it. It's like, oh, he's saying radioactive spider blood over and over again. Oh, okay.
So it's Dicko sleeping.
Basically.
Yeah.
But anyway... I wonder how long this would have taken were it not for the tangents.
I have gone fully troppo, and I'm overtired,
But Mary Jane in that continuity had been cloned, and the real version was missing, but the clone version was made from, is it Hydro Man's DNA? So she was made of water, so she evaporated. What?
Like fucking a waterbed.
Yeah, basically.
Or
Spider-Man
when you drink too much water and your tummy goes slosh, slosh, slosh.
Yeah, Spider-Man was he married a waterbed, yeah.
Nice.
for a little while, and then she basically kind of fell apart.
She Senator Kelly'd.
Yeah, she Senator Kelly'd. Actually, I was about to make that connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so it ends on, oh yes, we're going to go and do that, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, and so I finally got to see that after all those years. I watched a couple of episodes of Spider-Man Unlimited, which is like a series that they followed it up with.
Okay.
Which is set where there is another Earth on the other side of the sun that's like a Bizarro Earth, which weirdly is also a plot point in season 4 of Lex.
I was going to say, I've
It's
heard this
in
before.
canon.
Actually, no, it's season 3 of Lex, but it leads into season 4. And that planet is full of furries.
Awesome.
Like anthropomorphized, like animals, and then humans are like a underclass.
Okay, that's less cool.
And Venom and Carnage are there, but now they don't need to have someone to be like bipedal. They're like their own independent characters. It's weird.
So, like, well, I mean, the symbiote is, like, sentient.
Yeah, but it's like bipedal. It looks like Eddie Brock wearing the Venom symbiote.
You see, I always think, because I got, like, a little gacha with, like, a little Venom in it that was, like, mid-transformation, and he was doing the back of the hand, like, blur.
Yeah.
You know the blur. And, like...
His thwipping.
His thwipping. Thwop. And he still had, like... He had this... Because he had, like, proper Venom comic book proportions, so he was Barra as heck.
Yes.
And, like, he was kind of standing on this big pile of, like, squiggly symbiote tendrils. And, like, but his left foot was still Eddie Brock's left foot. So it was this gigantic, like, Converse shoe with, like, a white sock halfway up his calf. And now anytime I think of, like, Venom, I think that it goes down to his calves and then it's just socks and Converse. I can't not think that.
This is not particularly related to what you're talking about, but you should really watch Venom the movie. It's not good.
No.
But it's also, like, shit in a really enjoyable way.
Yeah.
It has some terrible writing in it, but it's kind of
like a
fun,
turd
terrible.
in the wind. Like, what?
Yeah, that's right at the end of the movie.
Oh, great.
And yeah, they do bicker like a married couple.
Excellent. That's probably why everyone's been shipping them so
It's pretty
aggressively.
great, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible, but it's also quite fun. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I can understand why a sequel is being made, because it's, like I say, it's bad, but in quite a fun way. But anyway, that's a weird show, Spider-Man Unlimited. Because it's like, because it's based on a comic series as well. It's not like they just pulled it out their arse. It's weird. Quite fun, because before Spider-Man gets his new fancy suit that he has for that run that's like nanobots, you briefly see him wearing the classic Spider suit, and it actually uses the theme tune from the mid-90s TV show while he's wearing that.
That's really cool.
To sort of show a bridge between that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
But apart from that, I also, and I won't talk about this for very long because people know firmly about this, but I watched a handful of season 30 of The Simpsons.
Oh God, you told me. You touched upon the horrors that you have witnessed.
Because
out of morbid curiosity?
Yeah, I wanted to see if it was as bad as everyone says, because I've not seen an episode of The Simpsons for over a decade. And it was pretty bad when I last watched it. It was like
It was like, hey, let's just do Family Guy, but somehow worse.
Yeah.
However that is possible.
And yeah, now it's not quite the same, but it still has real elements of that. And the one thing that I was really struck by was that I did not expect to watch The Simpsons and be reminded of my own mortality. Because having not watched it for some time, there are a handful of actors. I can't remember her name offhand, but the actor who plays Marge Simpson.
Oh, I can't remember.
In particular, so many of the actors have audibly aged.
Ooh.
Like, Marge sounds old. Homer sounds a lot older as well, but Marge is like the one who's the most affected by it. And I do think she has a bit more of a... I think they've given her a bit more to do now as well.
Rather than just being the wife to stand there and disapprove.
Yeah. So it's accentuated as well because you hear her talk a bit more. Or maybe it's just the episodes I saw were very Marge-centric.
Maybe,
I don't know.
yeah.
But I can say that I watched about 5 episodes of season 30, including the Treehouse of Horror from that season. And they're normally like the best.
They're usually the magnum opus.
Yeah, they're normally like they're pretty good usually, or at least they always used to be. And I can honestly say the funniest bit in all of those episodes was a couch gag where it just became an episode of Bob's Burgers for 45 seconds because it was a cameo. And it was like, wow, this feels like it's got energy. Like Bob's Burgers got its problems, and especially some of those early seasons. There's some pretty fucking yikes humor in it that I can understand would put people off, but like it's got at least kind of a bit of a verve to like the writing. Like they have a bit of like,
well, they haven't written 30 fucking seasons of it because it's a good gravy train.
Yeah, and so having that, which feels like it, that it has a bit of energy between the dialogue between characters, was like, oh wow, because the Simpsons has just got weird now. The weirdest part about it is that they've picked up some weird traits, like that they can't just end an episode like a normal episode anymore.
Right.
So what happens, and this happened in every episode that I saw, is that, so they'll get to the end of the narrative, and there'll be a joke at the end of the narrative. And then there will afterwards be another scene that is just a joke. That's just something that happens after that scene, but it's not like important to the narrative. It's just an extra joke on the end of it. That's like just a 40-second joke on the end of it. So you go, okay, so episode over. Okay, there's this little extra bit that doesn't really mean anything, and then sometimes they'll follow that up by over the credits having a kind of like another sequence like that quite often occurs somewhere within the episode chronologically. So rather than end the episode, they'll try and have one or possibly 2 other punchlines after that.
Now, I remember 2 times, this is back when The Simpsons was good, mind you, that they did have a thing over the credits at the end. One of them was where Homer basically leaves his mum on like one of those like cross-county buses and just sits on his car and watches the stars, and it's really sad. And then the next one is like after he like eats fugu or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm not dead, I'm gonna live each day like it's my last. And then the entire credits is just him sitting there eating chips in front of the TV watching football for the entirety of the credits. And it's like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's
like, now that's how you do that.
That's a very different era. It's also a little peculiar to see the characters interacting with the modern day. So, like their TV is a flat screen now. It's not just that big box CRT it always used to be.
Scary.
But it's still drawn the same from the front. It's just proportioned differently. It's really weird.
All that.
It's you sit there and you go, I didn't think it was possible to get the uncanny valley from a television set, but you've managed it.
Fair.
It also it's just weird. If you haven't watched it in a while and you get the chance, I would recommend just watching an episode or 2, because it's really hard to quantify how the humor has specifically changed, but it doesn't have the pacing. It doesn't have like quite often jokes will be really drawn out. Like The Simpsons was quite often had these like quite quick pace things. And also, it does that thing. So you know how The Simpsons has like a consistent universe, like it's amped up, but it's also
it is consistent within its own universal rules.
So like the example I often use for this kind of thing is, you know how like if something falls down a set of stairs, it will always burst into flames at the end.
That is such a good fucking joke.
Because that's just the thing that happens in The Simpsons. Like, that's like a thing, but it's like consistent throughout the universe that's like the level of absurdity that can happen. But it doesn't really get into like full-on Family Guy, there's no rules, like stuff. This does. There's one of the little the post jokes that happens after the narrative in one of the episodes is Flanders on his lawn. I think he's mowing or he's gardening or something, and there's a thunderclap and a clap of thunder happens, and Rod and Todd are scared of it, and it's like, oh, don't worry, that's just the angels playing angels bowling, and then a huge bowling pin falls from the sky and like destroys his roof.
Oh.
Which I don't know if I'm supposed to, like, that's one of those things where you go, am I supposed to interpret that as a thing that happened, or is that just a complete non sequitur little thing that it's just a joke with the characters?
You know, when you see, you kind of hear something that's so unfunny, you can usually sit there and go, like, well, okay, here's how I would set up the situation, so this is how I would make it funny. I can't even think of how I can make that funny. It's just bad.
It's a weird one. The only fun joke in that one about Flanders is that because God is talking to like an angel about like letting people into heaven, and he basically saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to be awkward. Like it's going to be awkward when he comes up here because both of his wives have died."
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he got remarried.
Yeah, he got remarried to Miss Krabappel.
He did?
Yeah.
Ah, well, fuck. Okay.
And both those characters have died, and it shows them in heaven. I can't remember what one of them was, but one of them's like making out with Abe Lincoln.
That's definitely Ms. Krabappel.
So it's like, yeah. But anyway, it's deeply surreal to watch it. Like I say, just seeing The Simpsons interact with modern technology just feels weird. Like there's an episode that I didn't watch, but it was it's like Krusty on a podcast, and that feels fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really horrible description of, like, one of us. Krusty on a podcast.
Oh. I'm sorry, it's been a rough couple of weeks. I haven't showered much, so I'm crusty on a podcast.
Oh, I too am crusty on a podcast. And Drummer Matt's just, well, he's slimy on a podcast.
Yes. But yeah, so Simpsons weird. One last thing to mention is I've been carrying on playing Subnautica, and I've got to the point where I've unlocked the big submarine, so that's good.
So if I got you a pair of booty shorts that on the butt said, "Are you sub-naughty?" would you wear them?
I probably wouldn't, but that's purely because I would find them constrictive.
Well, they could be loose like stubbies.
I don't know, I've never been able to get into that.
Okay, well, what if I just get you, like, some, like, juicy couture sweatpants, and you can have, "Are you sub-naughty?" And then I'll have a pair of, like, booty shorts that just say, "Are you nasty?"
I'm all right, honestly.
You want "I'm all right" on your butt.
I just have "It's fine" written across the arse. Keep it on brand.
I'd like to think Drummer Matt has, like, "Lest we forget" on his booty shorts.
Jesus.
Because
yes,
we can't get that ass out of our head.
Subnautica is quite good. Really enjoying it. And it's interesting to see where it goes, because there is a narrative going on there.
Okay.
And you slowly find out more and more things, and it's cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I did have a really cool moment where, having built the big submarine, which is called the Cyclops, and from a technical point of view, I was really impressed with it, because if you've got the smaller submarine, which is called the Sea Moth, although I renamed mine to be Mothra, of course.
Obviously.
And so because I'd done that, I named my Cyclops, I named it Gojira. So, because, it goes deep in the ocean. So it makes sense. It's not just pointless referencing.
You need to have a mod so every time it drives, you replace the engine sound with do 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 do.
Just replace the soundtrack of the game.
Yeah.
If you go underneath the Cyclops with your Sea Moth, the bottom of it opens up and then it pulls in the Sea Moth.
That is so cool.
You get in a vehicle, which you can then go into another vehicle with, which then is pulled inside it, and then you get out inside the other vehicle, and it's all underwater, and every time that happens, I'm like, I cannot imagine the technical hurdles of making all that work together.
That sounds like a headache.
But it's really cool, and it led to this really fun moment, so I've basically set up a new base, like, away from the starting area, towards one of the islands, because there are a couple of bits of land in the game. And I was like, I'm going to see what happens when I dive down as deep as my new submarine can get, because it can get down significantly deeper than previously you're able to. And so I took it down into like this area where I like gathered a bunch of resources. I'm like, this is cool. And then there was like a part where it said, where it like told me about it, and it's like, oh, this is a crater, and it described it as the only life in there is microbes and leviathans. Do not go in there.
I'm sorry. Leviathans?
Yeah, there's like a category of thing called leviathan.
I hope they're friendly.
They are not.
Oh.
So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to save the game, and I'm going to go and see what's in there. So I take my submarine down, and then I start getting warnings.
Warning, you will fucking die.
Well, I start getting warnings that I'm being attacked, and so I'm like trying to turn my submarine around to even get a look at the thing, because I just keep seeing out of the corner of like my window just the whip of a tail.
That is peak horror movie.
Yeah. Right.
And then I eventually get to turn it all the way around, to get a good look at it, and it's like a hammerhead shark crossed with like an eel, but it's like 100 feet long. And it's eating my fucking submarine.
Oh.
And so I'm like trying to shake it off because I haven't got any weapons on my submarine yet.
That was your first mistake.
That did not work out well. And then it's like, it's like, it's like alarms start blaring. It's like abandoned ship. So I because of the whole interior to your submarine. So I turn around to go and run to my little smaller submarine that's docked in it, while water's pouring into it, and all my stuff's starting to catch fire inside.
That is so fucking cool.
It's like listing. It's on it's like tipping to its side. And so I run in and I dive into my Seamoth. Now, the thing is, I'm below the recommended depth of the Seamoth, so it's going to start crushing. But I'm like, if it can just get me out just enough. So I jump in it. It erupts from that as my big ship is just destroyed and torn apart. I get like 50 feet in the Seamoth before a combination of it being eaten by what turns out to be 2 leviathans.
Oh my god.
And just the depth crushing it to pieces. So then I pop out of that just as me, whip out my Sea Glide, which is a little like propeller thing.
Crash Bandicoot that's like a little propeller.
A little like propel thing for like a single person. Whip that out, and then I'm like desperately going for the surface. I'm like, okay, I've got a really good air tank.
The bends be damned.
The bends. I'm glad the bends doesn't exist in the game.
Can you
Christ.
fucking imagine?
And then I'm like trying to get to the surface. I'm like, okay, I can make this. I've got enough air. And then I turn around, and these 2 things are chasing me. They are chasing me out of the depths.
Ooh. Okay, I'm actually getting like super uncomfortable.
I look around and I see them like turn around, and I'm like, okay, I've got it. They didn't turn around. They obviously just regrouped and then came up and then just ate me.
Fuck me, dude.
And I was like,
did you nearly break the surface?
I got within I think I had like more than enough oxygen to get there, and I was like 200 meters from the surface, and I was down at like 450 meters to begin with.
Gee, that is... Ooh, that's so fucking cool.
That was just
made me want to put this game on my wish list.
Yeah, it was just a really cool little bit of gameplay, and it's one of those things that it didn't... that happened because I wanted to stick I wanted to stick my dick in the dangerous thing and see what happens. And it turned out bad
problem.
things. If I go in there again, I'll severely upgrade my things to have weaponry. Because Jesus. But Subnautica's great. I'm trying to think. Anything else? Oh, I also watched... I finally got around to watching Black Panther and Toy Story 4. Which I just hadn't got around to watching.
I'm just kind of a bit burnt out on superhero movies.
Black Panther's very good.
Yeah, no, I've heard good things.
Yeah, just
Okoye
cool.
is amazing, and I love her.
You'd like it. You'd like it. And Toy Story 4 is a weird one because I kind of like how it ends, because I won't give any spoilers for anyone that wants to watch it, because there's a lot about it, about the journey of getting to that point, and even though it's a little bit of an old thing, but it grants some characters a degree of agency and like self-actualization that the movies previously hadn't. So even though it's like a movie where only like 4 of the characters matter, so like... Just minor spoilers. Buzz Lightyear doesn't matter in this movie one bit. He's in it.
Okay. He's in it because it's a Toy Story.
He's in it because it's Toy Story, but like you could replace him with any other of the toys, like, and it would fundamentally play out more or less the same.
Have you seen the 3rd Toy Story?
I have, yes.
Okay. My favorite character in Toy Story is the stuffed dinosaur that has like AOL chat room sex with like the other dinosaur down the road. Like they just get on and they like
The Triceratops, like the blue one.
Yeah.
She is also in Toy Story 4.
I love her. She's like, oh yes, just it's like playing like a little carnivore, herbivore kind of game. Anyway, doesn't matter.
There's also because Bonnie's the new kid that's got
she's
got
the one
the
that's got
toys,
the toys,
and she's got a stuffed unicorn who every single plan that he has involves getting Bonnie's dad arrested. So I feel that there's some unresolved issues in there.
Okay, that could be very grim.
I don't think that's what they're going for. I think they're just going for the fact that the unicorn's got a fucking weird thing in their head over it.
Honestly, that unicorn sounds a lot like me. Because when I get an idea, for some reason, I just don't drop it.
Yeah.
So it does feel like I would just get obsessed with sending someone's dad to jail.
I also realise, and I won't, again, because I want to try and wrap this up, because Senna had nothing to talk about. I've talked for a long time. But... So you probably know if you haven't seen the movie, but there's a new character called Forky in it, who is a toy that is made by a kid. It's like a spork that's been given legs and googly eyes and pipe cleaner arms. Now it does come to life, and that raises all sorts of questions about how
Very
life is bestowed.
Questions,
yeah, how life is bestowed in this Toy Story universe. I think we talked about that like 50 podcasts ago at one point.
Probably.
Talking about like where would the life reside in like a Lego man?
The ass.
Because they're made out of like multiple parts. A bit like how in is it Toy Story 3, Mr. Potato Head replaces the potato with a cucumber.
No, it's not. It's a
Oh, it's like a wrap thing, or
it's a tortilla.
Yeah,
a soft tortilla,
Oh.
and he's just flopping around.
Oh, there is a bit in one of where it is also a cucumber, because I saw it like 2 days ago. So.
Okay, fine.
But the tortilla thing.
Also, I can't wait for Toy Story 5 when like all of Andy's anime waifu statues come to life and just fucking kill him.
But the thing that I get is I find very interesting is that, so straight up I'm thinking too much about the rules of magic in a kids movie. Like,
yep,
I know. And I'm not supposed to think about it this much, but I just kind of find it kind of interesting, is that Forky knows that he is made of trash. That's what he says. He says, I am trash. He's like Danny DeVito's character in Always Sunny.
Okay.
He's the trash man.
Oh.
But he knows that's what he is. But if we work by the idea that by making him a toy, that bestows sentience upon him, or at least the ability to communicate upon him, and he wasn't like pulled out of the bin as a full thing, so he was given that sentience outside of being rubbish. That means that he retains some knowledge of his previous existence, which implies that every inanimate object in the Toy Story universe has at least some degree of awareness of what it is. At least has... Because, I mean, to know what you are is like an actually quite high-level thing. So, yeah. What I'm saying is that the entirety of the Toy Story universe is a lot of items that are in a I have no mouth, yet I must scream kind of situation.
Fantastic, thank you.
So a house is just a bunch of bricks that wish they could scream.
See, I'm usually the one that comes out with that shit. But okay.
Also, it became more and more apparent to me how weird it is that there are some toys that don't have sentience. Like, some of the cars and things like that are just objects. They're just a toy. And they don't, like, have, like, knowledge. There's a remote control car in...
RC?
No, not that one. RC is briefly in Toy Story 4, okay. But another remote control car... Well, actually, it's a remote control skunk. Don't think about it. But that is just an object. Like, that's not alive.
What about like the Etch-a-Sketch? That's a creativity tool.
Yeah.
Does that mean my pencils are alive? If so, I should probably take them out of my mouth.
Yeah. Also, Bo Peep's a fucking lamp.
Yeah.
Although I think they...
I love how she gets a costume change even though she's solid fucking porcelain.
I think what they try to go with on this one is that even though she's made of porcelain, she is a doll that's supposed to be detachable from the thing. So that does explain the toy aspect.
Yeah.
And that she does have cloth clothing. which I don't think she does in the earlier ones. I think she is
No,
all porcelain.
She is,
but
just
I
straight
think
up just porcelain.
I think that's just a retcon because you wouldn't be able to have Bo Peep doing the things she does in the movie if she was in the same getup.
Is Barbie in it? Because she was a great fucking character.
Briefly.
Oh, Barbie was awesome!
Characters that aren't like the four that matter are basically like
They're just
what's
there
the
just
word?
for recognition.
Relegated. That's the word I was looking for. Are relegated to mostly just being cameos more than anything else. So, like, some of them have literally, like, a handful of lines, but you could replace them with, like, two of them.
Yeah.
And it would have the same utility.
That's a bit sad.
But yeah, that's me anyway. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry that took a lot longer than I intended.
That took, like, nearly an hour.
okay.
It was weird. So, Snipe, what have you been up to?
Are you sure it's okay? Do I have enough time to respond?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could start some weird tangents during your bit as well.
I mean, that's kind of like what I'm known for. And I'm just excited to be talking to friend Matt.
It is nice.
Because he is a good friend. Well, I have been playing games, but nothing particularly new. But I have been watching and just consuming a lot of horror media. I read a book a little while ago. This was suggested to me on the podcast, and I can't remember who suggested it to me, but Dark Matter by Michelle Paver. Fantastic book. I read it in like a day and a half.
That's always a good sign.
It is a good sign. And it's about it's in first person, which I usually really don't like, but I think that it was pulled off very well. So there's a guy who's kind of poor, who goes to see a bunch of like Oxbridge students because he's desperate to get out of London because, well, it's set during the 40s, before like the Second World War, so everything fucking sucks forever, and like smog is just horrific and all this kind of garbage. And he meets up with a bunch of Oxbridge dudes, and they're like, yeah, no, you can be our communications like specialist, that's cool, we're going to like fucking the Arctic or whatever. And then they go out on like, and it's just like his journal entries. And he's talking about, like, oh, he's so excited, and he met a bunch of Norwegians, and they were really cool, and you could tell they were hardy men.
This is all sounding very Lovecraftian.
That's because it kind of is.
Does it not have the racism?
Not really, no.
Good.
No, it's actually pretty decent. But yeah, they talk about like, oh yeah, they've got like roadmap faces. Like the captain of the ship is described incredibly well as like this hard, sinewy like lump of sentient leather and beard, who's been like fucking killing seals since he was 11. Just this kind of shit. And like, they go and they build a camp somewhere where no one's built a camp before because they're young and starry-eyed, and like kind of weird things start happening, and it's good. It is really good. My only like problem with it is that the introduction is a letter from one of the characters to some other character who's like researching the main character's journals, and I wish it hadn't been in there because I don't like things that are like, because it's before the story but it's set after the story, and it's talking about like, oh, those incidents very much upset me, and I'm like, this didn't need to be here, and it honestly ruined a bit of my enjoyment.
Was it one of those things where it kind of
hints at certain things, and I'm like, ugh, okay.
Did it like...
I would rather not know if somebody is seriously injured or like exploded or whatever.
I think there is always a fine line of like when you do something like that, because when you have like an epilogue at the start almost, like talking about what happened.
Well, I mean, it can be done well, but I, as a rule of thumb, don't really ever like them. Because I'm like, no, I'd rather go in not knowing anything.
Yeah, I think the absolute worst one is still from Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Where it tells you straight up, because it requires only a minor bit of like logic to go, oh, well, I know all these characters are dead then.
Yeah.
And it tells you that in the first few seconds, and so you know not to get invested in any of them. Yeah. And it turns out that wasn't a danger, because none of the characters are none of the characters are good, so you don't want to get invested in them anyway.
Well, you know what? Maybe it saved you the problem.
But, you know, it basically sidesteps the danger of you maybe caring about the movie.
Well, good.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I didn't like Cloverfield.
No, I know.
I didn't
Apparently,
like
10 Cloverfield Lane is really good.
Yes, I've heard everything other than the first movie is actually great.
Yeah, which is, you know, that's cool. That's cool.
Before you move on, that book was recommended by A. Benzin.
Well, thank you very much, because, God, I bought one of her other books, which is called Thin Air, which is a similar premise, but it's up a mountain. So I'm super looking forward to reading that, because she's done a bunch of, like, young adult kind of novels, and I'm not interested in those. So I really like the way she tells scary stories, and there was a couple of moments where I was like, ooh, that's a bit spooky. And also, I showed you some stuff about it, which I'm not going to say, but it made me very happy. And yeah, it's fun. But yeah, no, thank you for the recommendation. That was really, really good. Speaking of things that aren't really, really good though, you know Shudder. It's like Netflix but with horror.
Yes.
I thought I'd get a free, I think it's like a 7-day trial you can get for free. And there's fucking nothing on there.
Yeah, I've heard
There's nothing on there. On the UK version, it's appalling.
I've heard the US version's pretty good.
Well, I mean, it will be.
But the UK version sucks.
Yeah, the UK version is pretty fucking dreadful. So much so that if you go to cancel it, they'll literally go, please, we'll give you a free month. Which is why I've still got it. But I watched one movie on there called The Chamber, which was... Long story short, because it's not very good, I'm just going to cut through it. Norwegians again. No, I think they're actually Swedish, yeah. There's, Swedish guy goes down...
Heavy Scandinavian meta currently.
Very heavy Scandinavian meta. And you know what? I'm okay with that. But yeah, and, a bunch of American, Black Ops people. There's a lady and, two dudes. And they go down, and they're like, oh yeah, we just need to go down and, do stuff. And they're really, obviously being super covert and sneaky about it, which is kind of weird because surely, you know, you're going to, NDA the sub-pilot because, you know, the more somebody knows, the more invested that... Whatever. And they go down, and, I'm pretty sure... There's, this guy who looks like he's got, the Chris Redfield shape, which immediately made me like him, and then I immediately hated him because he was a jerk. And the lady, I'm pretty sure they're Australian. Because they can't hold up their American accents very well. They're pretty decent for a while, but it'll be like, I'm telling you, I want this submarine down. And you're like,
Do you mean that bit in, is it X-Men 2?
X-Men 2, how far are we? With Hugh Jackman in the Blackbird.
Yeah, alright, Logan.
It's alright, mate, sure. But yeah, and it's just okay. I mean, it's an interesting premise because it's basically just, they get stuck in a submarine. The Norwegian, the Swedish, submarine pilot is just constantly throwing hands with everyone, and the not Chris Redfield, who the Jerkfield is super aggressive and nasty, and he turns into from this hardened fucking Black Ops dude into a screaming teenager who's just I need to leave, I have a child, fucking hell, mate. And I'm just oh shit, okay. And yeah, obviously the sub loses electrics and gets a puncture, and it's just not very good.
You should have just played Subnautica.
I should have just played Subnautica. It sounds so much better. But yeah, I think it was more of an independent film. You could tell by how it had so few people, and this is how you.
Was it all done basically in one room if it's in just a submarine?
Yeah, it was. And also you can kind of tell if something's quite low budget if they because they don't have to pay you as much if you don't speak. So the fewer speaking actors involved, the less money went into it usually. You'll notice in a lot of things they'll be hey, what do you think, doctor? You know what? We don't care. And they'll be that's because they basically don't have to pay them as much, and it's
because they're just an extra.
Because they're just an extra, yeah. But if they talk, they have to pay them more. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I think it was an independent little thing, and honestly, it just felt a bit misery porn. Which I'm not super into, but eh. So now, speaking of another good movie I watched The Martian, which I've read the book, which is really good. And the movie is really good as well. They added a little bit at the end, I'm pretty sure. But no, it stuck to the book pretty well. I was wondering how it would do certain things, but like it actually worked. They managed to make it work in the shift from format. I knew what was happening, yet I still got really invested and tense on the more worrying moments. And like, oh, it's good. I can recommend it. It's very, very good. I watched The Conjuring. Now, you'll know I've watched Annabelle and Annabelle Creation, which is within the Conjuring universe, so I wanted to watch the one where it all started. I mean, it's better than the other ones, but I mean, that's like saying, oh, yeah, like, losing all of my toenails is better than losing all of my nails. That common saying.
Well, I mean, I guess getting stabbed is maybe better than getting shot type territory.
Actually, I think getting shot is better for you, because getting stabbed is like, that really fucks you up, and like, there's a lot of serrated edges, and plus, like, the human hand is like under stress pulling and pushing in a knife. Also, yeah, it's got more chance to rip, whereas a bullet will usually go straight through. I mean, if it hits like a bone or something, then, But if we're talking just very kind of basic, getting shot versus being stabbed, I would say being stabbed is way worse.
Okay, well, I mean, I wasn't planning on doing either, so... I
mean, that's probably for the best. Don't get shot or stabbed.
I'll try not to.
It's so easy, everyone. Don't get shot or stabbed. Okay. That's my amazing piece of advice for the day.
I'm just being like, don't have guns, then you don't get shot, but I'm not sure if I can say that out loud.
Oh, God, yeah, right? Okay. But anyway...
All advice falls apart when you look at the real world and you go, oh no, you don't get a choice, it just happens to some people. Oh.
Wow. Anyway, let's make fun of The Conjuring, because the real world is pretty fucking miserable. So, I don't know if either of you darlings know anything about Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Are those the big fucking, like, grifter
fucking
con artists that The Conjuring is based on?
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, like, they have, like, an occult museum that's, like, permanently shut, and they have, like, the original Annabelle doll in, like, a fucking glass cabinet with, like, a tarot card stuck to it. It's like the devil tarot card. It's
of course.
Fucking weird.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned this a bit last time.
Yeah, and it's really, it's a little Raggedy Ann doll, and it's really silly. But yeah, and it's kind of showing them as heroes, which I don't like, because like Ed and Lorraine Warren were also involved in the Amityville haunting, which...
Oh, it's the same people?
Yes, it's the same people.
Because that was a con as well, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was also like, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but apparently it is believed / stated that the mother of the family came up with the whole story of when she was getting drunk one night.
Okay.
Not sure if that's 100% legitimate, but also... demons don't exist, so yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say if you believe in ghosts or anything otherworldly, then I think you're an idiot, because I don't. It's just, I don't believe it, and I am almost 100% fucking certain that Ed and Lorraine Warren didn't believe it, because they were just capital G grifters.
Yeah.
So they would involve themselves in this kind of shit. Go, no, it's completely accurate, and we have a priest come down to our fucking museum and like raw dog the fucking tarot cards. So
Jesus.
that well, maybe not like that. But basically, like we have a priest coming along to bless everything. And in this, they're portrayed as like Lorraine Warren is portrayed as this like all powerful psychic, and Ed Warren is just portrayed as this like Captain Sideburns, who's like...
Oh, did they actually use their real names?
Yes.
Oh, because I thought that they were based them on it, but they
just
used...
them.
Okay, yeah, that makes it way more skeevy, because then
it really does.
Because then it's just saying, oh, these are real people who weren't just conning people.
Well, I mean, it starts off with the bit that was actually, I think, reused in one of the Annabelle movies, maybe Annabelle Creation, or just Annabelle, where it's supposed to be interviewing the... Because in the original thing, cause I've read about all this shit, because I think this shit is fascinating. The original Raggedy Ann Annabelle doll was given to a nurse in the 70s who lived with a flatmate, and I think her boyfriend was also, either he lived with them or he was very present, and there was a lot of spooky shit going on, and then they were like, please, Ed and Lorraine Warren, take it away, and it kind of starts with that. and like just the Annabelle doll looking evil as fuck. And then like it shows like there's a house being haunted by something spoopy. Ooh, it's spoopy. Because there's this like husband and wife, and they have like 6 kids. And to be fair, these kids are pretty good actors. I'm actually pretty impressed because like I usually watch most kind of like demonic possession of kid kind of like movies, mainly because 90% of the time they just get some cute looking kid who can't fucking act, and it's really funny. It's just so fucking funny. You can't find a better comedy. And like, but no, these kids, like, they could act, and they like, and credit where credit is due. There was 3 parts in this movie out of like 15 or 16 that tried to scare me, that actually, well, 2 of them were really, really like, ooh, that is scary, and one of them actually frightened me, like for a split second, not like massively. So credit where credit's due. They play a game called like hide and clap, which, you know, when you see something in a horror movie and you go, gee, I wonder what could happen with this little game the children are playing. And it's basically they blindfold one of them, and then they all run off while the blindfolded kid counts to like 10 or 20. And they have to walk around the house and try and find like their brothers, the sisters or whatever. And then they shout clap, and then you have to clap. And then they kind of like follow the sound. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting premise for like just the most evilest thing. But yeah, there was like one part where the mum's playing it with the youngest like girl because she's too young to play. And she goes into this room with this creepy as fuck old wardrobe that was just there when they moved in. Ominous
furniture is a necessity if you're going to be in a horror film, to be fair.
And like so she's feeling around this room, and you can tell she's having fun, and she's like, okay, clap. And then like, like you hear like you see the wardrobe doors opening really slowly in the background. And then a small pair of arms comes out and and I'm like, ooh, that's good, that's contained. But there was another one with that premise that was super freaky, and I was like, actually, that's fucking awesome. Nicely done. And then there was one where woman's like Lorraine, because, okay, so Ed and Lorraine, basically they're shown as these heroic, like, demonologists who just go around the USA telling people that the most of, like, what they think is haunted is just faulty pipes or a door that hasn't been installed correctly. So they're, like, going around going, no, you see, most, like, 90% of these cases can have like, a logical explanation, like, yeah, this door is bad, or, oh, when the pipes are running, it sounds like someone saying, stab your grandma, or fucking whatever.
Yeah, we had that at our old place, actually.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. But yeah, and then they encounter, like, this family, and they're like, we'll come and have a look, and then it's like, oh, yes, this is obviously legitimate, And then they basically move in, and it's like, they're suddenly, like, super good friends with them, and it's like, I'm getting serious, like, polyamorous vibes here. Like, what, have you just fucking moved into their house, and now you're like, well, kids, now you have an extra mummy and daddy, which is like, that's fine, but it's just kind of like, I'm almost certain that's not what they meant to how to put it across, but, well, there you go. And it's just weird seeing 2 known grifters being heralded as these big, selfless, kind people, and it's like,
because I assumed that it was based on them, but they used different names so they could kind of skirt around that whole fact. But yeah, if they're using the same names, it's like, I would not have done that.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to watch The Conjuring 2, but I can't find it to stream anywhere for free. I have to like rent it from like Prime, because that's based on the Amityville haunting.
I assume these are entirely unrelated to the Amityville movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like based on a true story. I hate that shit with ghost stories, and it's like, really, is it though?
Let's just say that there is a certain
you can literally call something like, say something is based on a true story, and that be the part of the fiction.
There isn't actually a legal requirement to be based on a true story if you say it's based on a true story.
Exactly. So,
okay.
But yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't as bad as some of the later ones, but it still like was relatively formulaic, and it was weird if you know anything about the couple it's based on. But I mean, I guess if you got nothing else to watch and you really want to see how, you know, it's a bit, then go for it. A really bad one I watched was The Haunting of Katie Malone. So this is about an older Irish lady, like, woman who was apparently, like, she was bought by some guy and, like, abused horribly, and then, like, she, like, was given a box by the daughter of the guy who, like, would beat her up and stuff, and then froze to death, even though when you see her ghost, she's got massive gouges carved out of her, and I'm like, what, did the wind do that? What's the, and it lingers on the ghost a lot, which is kind of, like, none of the characters act like people at all. Like, it's centered around 3 university students. I think the girl is related to one of the guys and is the childhood friend of the other. But, like, the interactions with them is fucking appalling, because it's like, the girl is, like, she literally goes on a date with, like, the main character and is suddenly, like, all giddy and, like, panicked and stuff, even though she's expressed, like, a couple of times that she has no romantic interest in him, but now she just suddenly does for no reason, and is, like, checking her, like, making sure her cleavage is all good and everything, and, like, and it's like, what? And then, like, he calls her up and is like, "Hi, you still ready to go?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." And he's all like, "Okay, I could come pick you up." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, I forgot. It's because you're a strong, independent woman." And I'm like, what? Like, what? No! You misunderstand.
You can't pick someone up, that's a sign of weakness.
Yeah?
If you're both going to the same place.
And at this point, there's been, like, loads of spooky shit happening.
I feel
also,
like...
it's a wish-granting evil slave box.
Yeah, and I think you're missing the part that, like, you told me about how they get the box.
Oh yeah, they buy it on eBay. Because it's like,
They
hey,
buy a haunted box on eBay!
yeah, but it's like haunted slave box, like starting at $5, and he's like, "Ooh, I'll buy that," and then like, yeah.
I mean, I've bought some weird shit on eBay when I've been up late at night,
Yeah.
but most of those manifest as, like, miniatures from the 80s that I probably shouldn't have bought,
Yeah.
rather than... I don't think any of those are haunted, or if they are, then...
And if they are, then, well, they're not doing a very good job.
Yeah, they need to
let's
up
be
their
honest.
game.
Yeah, they really do. But yeah, no, and it's just, there's a formula in horror. I'm gonna sound like that fuckwit from Scream, but, like, there's the whole, oh, there's a loud noise. I'm going to go check that out, but I'm quite tense about it, so I'll do it slowly. Build up to opening a drawer, a door, a window, like, basically, like, revealing the area where somebody could be hiding.
Yeah.
Big musical sting when it happens, nothing's there. Protagonist, or like person, lets out a sigh of relief, turns around and gets jump scared.
Yeah.
That is really fucking common, and they do this so many fucking times in this movie, to the point where I'm like, look, just stop. It would be scarier if you didn't try and jump scare me. The CGI is kafucked, and Dean Cain is in it, the man who was the supered man.
Yes.
Which is...
Does anyone remember Dean Cain anymore?
Yeah, he's from Fish Shark Marketing.
I legit have problems, like, imagining Dean Cain as a functional person because of listening to too much Fish Shark Marketing.
I mean, fair. But yeah, and it's just really fucking not very good. And there's like a death scene where a woman... Like, she's supposed to be, like, this real hard English lit professor, and she teaches Shakespeare, and she's, like, super hard ass, and she doesn't take any shit, and she'll kick you out of her class without thinking about it, you know?
Sounds like a bad teacher.
Yeah, really. And she's, like, walking, and, like, because if they look at the box and then wish for something, they get it? And, like, the guy, I think his name is Dixie, is like, God, I wish she'd just, just get off my case or whatever. And then it follows the woman, and she's all like, who's there? Like, really?
Oh, so it's Wishmaster rules.
Kind of, but not really. Because, like, at the beginning, like, the girl wishes for a rose, and she just gets it on the floor of her, like, student accommodation the next day.
Okay.
And
So
it's just like, okay.
So it's Wishmaster, but it lulls you into a false sense of
No,
security
it's
first.
Wishmaster, but it's really fucking inconsistent. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and then, like, she starts, like, whipping around, like, ah! And yet she literally says, "Oh yes, I know you're there. If you're trying to scare me, I will remind you that I study Shakespeare." And I'm like, she's literally doing the, I am so smart. I will deflect your knives with my massive science Shakespeare brain.
I don't even know what that means. Like,
It's like, honestly, I've read Shakespeare, and it's
Yeah.
not that shocking.
it's... reading Shakespeare has never prevented me from being scared of something.
Well, I mean, maybe you were reading it wrong.
Maybe.
She is the Shakespeare professor, but yeah, and then
Maybe
like,
she's just terrified of Shakespeare.
maybe that's it. She's just like, that's why she's such a like emotionally stunted hard ass.
She's terrified of bards. That's the problem.
I mean, that's a pretty good fear to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she's like slammed against the wall by an unseen force, and then like she's bleeding from the mouth, and then her tongue is like she's just. I have never been more aware that I'm watching an actress on a set try and look like something is happening. Like she's like arms out against the wall, this like screaming bloody murder, and she's just like sticking her tongue out as hard as she can, trying to look like she's scared, but it just looks really silly. And then it's like, oh yeah, she died last night. She bit her tongue off and bled to death. It's like, can you bleed to death from biting off your... I mean, there's probably circumstances where you can. I'm not that well versed in anatomy or medicine, but
I don't know.
It would have been scary. It was like, oh yeah, she bit off her own tongue and then like went and did like loads of handstands and choked on her own blood.
I mean, we could go and pay our upstairs neighbour and see if he'll bite off his own tongue and see what happens.
If I told him to, he'd do it.
He might do, actually. He's a very easily led person.
He's an idiot. Anyway, really fucking bad. Don't watch it. It was really shit. Okay, I've got 2 more like movies to talk about, and then I'm done.
Okay.
I watched The Possession, which, no points if you can guess what that's about. It's about truck driving. It's not.
Oh.
No.
It's about...
I would love it if it was.
It's due to someone getting it wrong. It's supposed to be like about racing trucks, and it was supposed to be like pole position, but they typoed it, so it was pole possession. And then they
Yeah.
said that just doesn't sound right. It
But
doesn't
then they're
scan,
like,
and
yeah,
we
but
can't
we've
delete
sent it to
now.
the printers
Yeah.
already. And it was, oh,
So they
God damn it.
hastily like used like Tipex to go over pole and write in the.
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
You know what? You just got to own some mistakes. It's fine. But yeah, and honestly, I didn't have much expectations for this. But also, I watched this directly after I watched The Haunting of Kate Malone, and it also has a magic evil death box. And I was like, what are the fucking chances?
Yeah.
But I quite like this one.
You should just watch Hellraiser afterwards if you want haunted death boxes.
Don't. Longfang will never shut up about that. But yeah, it's like a haunted death moth box, and I'm like, okay, I like bugs, that's cool. Like, buths are just goth butterflies. What did I say?
I think you said boths.
Buths. Yeah, that was like a horrible portmanteau of butterflies and moths. But yeah, moths are basically just like goth butterflies, so I don't mind them so much. And some of them are really fluffy.
Some moths can be very fluffy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen the gif of angry moth noises?
Yes.
Perfect. But yeah, anyway. And it's like, yeah, like, you know, a family going through a divorce, the dad's moved out, the mum's fucking shacked up with an orthodontist who's like, who's just a dick. The mum's a little bit of a dick, and the dad is a bit of a neglectful dick.
I've just got a question, and I'll put this out to the listeners as well.
Yeah.
In film, is it possible to be an orthodontist and not be a bit of a prick? Like, generally not be like an out-and-out monster, but I think every time I've seen a character who is an orthodontist, that's always been, like, for some reason, it's attracted bad people.
Well, I mean,
Specifically an orthodontist, not just a dentist.
I think even dentists tend to fit into that category as well quite often.
I wonder why that is.
Is
But
the
yeah,
dentist
anyway.
in Finding Nemo? I feel like he's not bad.
No,
personally.
he's just super, like, he's an enabler because he lets his, like, niece or, like, whatever it is come in and just shake fish to death.
There is
Yeah.
that.
And he's like, haha, I'll go buy new fish. It's like, you are an enabler.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's not great.
So he's a bit of a shit.
All orthodontists are bastards in film.
Yeah. But anyway, and I already hated this guy because, like, of course I did. You're meant to. But, like, there's, like, the two girls. There's a 10-year-old, like, Emily, and there's the older girl who I can't remember her name right now. I watched a lot of movies yesterday.
Yeah, it's fine.
And the older girl's having, like, a bit of a snippy kind of phase, and like, the younger one is kind of, like, you know, just she's just, like, super into, like she's a vegetarian, and she's like, and they're kind of like, oh, she's going through that vegetarian thing, and it's like, okay, and, like, you're first introduced to Emily when she holds up two signs, was like, what do you think? Meat is murder, or if you kill and eat animals, you become one. And I'm like, okay, that feels very out of touch. You know what I mean? And she's, like, saying, I'm going to get meat banned on Mondays, so it'll be meat-free Mondays in the school cafeteria.
I can't believe how bad at optics 10-year-olds are.
I know, like, get good, you shits. But yeah, also, these two kids are fucking great. Like, they're even better actors than they were, like, kid actors in The Conjuring. It was really good. And they stop by a yard sale and they buy this super spooky murder box that actually you see in the beginning it, like, forcing an old lady to have a stroke because she tried to, like, hammer it to death. And it's pretty gruesome. I mean, she doesn't die, but, like, you know, and, like, the son finds her and puts all of her stuff out for the yard sale, and that's where they find the box. And the young girl, Emily, she's just super, like, wow, super into it.
It's a cool box.
It's a cool box. Honestly, it is. It is quite pretty. Also, it's got Hebrew engraved on it, which is an interesting thing that you pointed out, because all horror movies in the West tend to sit there and go, oh, like, Christianity is the quote-unquote correct religion, so if you show crosses at things, they're like, oh, fucking hell, I best like it.
It's like it's not like something that I'm sitting there and saying this is like an intentional thing, but
It just is.
Just because of it being, you know, a dominant religion, especially, you know, in America where most movies are made, you tend to see
It's like a lot of Catholics and...
It's more Protestant in America.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It tends to default to making Christianity kind of the default religion, and so supernatural things are very often shown through that lens. And so, yeah, it ends up with horror being quite often, you know, through that lens. So to see something that's doing Hebrew and goes through
Judaism
through a Jewish lens is actually really interesting.
No, it absolutely was. It was really nice to see.
What's that game called? There's a point and click. What's it called? Oh God, I forgot now. But you play as a rabbi.
Oh, the Shiver.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's a really interesting game, and it's an interesting one for seeing a very different perspective on things as well.
Yeah, because you don't really see much of a Jewish perspective in media, and it was just really interesting.
Yeah.
You get to learn about, like, you know, all sorts of stuff, and, like, the characters are good. It's a really good game. Can recommend. But yeah, so it was really cool kind of seeing, like, you know, like the whole, like, Jewish element of it. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And, like, the girl just starts, you know, any kind of possession. Like, there's a ring in the box that she puts on, and then she just starts getting, like, weirder and weirder, and, like, more and this kid can pull off evil looking. There is, like, okay, Drama Matt, you I don't think you'll watch this movie anyway, but I know for a fact that when I tell you this, you absolutely will never see it. There is one genuinely fucking horrifying part where the possessed girl is, like, looking at this guy and, like, just, like, really hatefully, and blood starts coming out of his mouth, and then he spits out a tooth, like a molar. Then this is the part that fucking made my blood run cold. He kind of, like, he pushes his hand up into his mouth to, like, hold onto his teeth, and all of them just flake away. Like, they pop out. It was like, oh fuck! It was horrible.
Yeah.
It's basically that anxiety dream that
Everyone
90% of the population gets, but put on screen, and I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good rendition of that. But let's not dwell on it, because a lot of people get
it makes a lot of
super
people very
skeeved out
uncomfortable.
about
But
that
yeah,
stuff.
that is. I will say, if you want to skip it, It's when she's outside on a swing and they're going to take a road trip.
Yeah.
So you can skip that scene. Because, I mean, I'm pretty good about teeth, because I don't really have that as an anxiety dream. But it even got me. I was like, ooh, that's fucking rough.
I'm on the nexus of people that do get that. Well, used to have that dream super frequently, but I'm not squeamish about it at all in movies or anything.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah. Well, a lot of people are.
Yeah, and I understand.
Anyway,
we have a example here.
So like that was cool. The overall acting and story is pretty well done. There's like a couple of things where it's just like a couple of horror tropes, and it's like that's fine. But no, honestly, I found it quite an enjoyable movie to watch.
Definitely the better haunted box movie you watched on the same day for some reason.
They have like, okay, so like the ending is kind of like super eye rolly because it's standard horror. Like, oh, what if we want to make a second one? And I'm just like, oh, fuck off. It's really annoying. But yeah, like there's like a group of Jewish guys and like a rabbi and stuff, like hanging out telling the guy about like this spooky box and shit, and it's like, this is really cool. And like there's the Jewish guy that goes back with him is super cool, and I like him. But yeah, it just cool. Yeah, can recommend. I'm not going to talk very much about the next movie I saw, because honestly, the more you know about it, the more it will be spoiled, and you need to experience this unspoiled. Like I did.
Like we did.
That was a weird choice for a day night movie.
Oh yeah.
Sorry to bother you. That's the name of the movie. It's
okay.
So like the main character, Cassius Green, it starts off with him basically trying desperately to ace an interview for a telemarketer's like job. And as someone who spent a lot of time on the unemployment line back in the day, they will literally hire fucking anyone. So that's kind of the initial like, haha. Yeah, good try. And they keep kind of saying like, oh, you gotta try hard, and then one day you'll be like a super salesman,
power seller,
yeah. And he's just like
power caller,
yeah. And he's like, yeah, I really want to do that. And every time he like calls, like everyone basically immediately hangs up. But the fun thing is, when he calls somebody, his desk drops into their house.
Right.
Which is really fun. I don't mind giving that away, especially because there's like he drops in after like calling a lady, and she's just getting like fucking railed on a sofa, just like really just really railed on this sofa, and she's just like she's getting pounded by this dude just on the phone, and I'm like
and he's sitting there awkwardly in the corner with his desk and his like headset.
He's
on.
like sorry to bother you, but we have an exciting and like, and he just can't make a sale. And then like Danny Glover shows up, who is amazing. I love that man. He's so fucking cool. And he turns around and goes, "You're not making any sales, son." He's like, "No, everyone just hangs up on me." He's like, no, you got to use the white voice." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "You gotta use your white voice." And then, like, he kind of goes, "Hi there," in, like, this really, like, overdubbed, like, nasally white guy voice. It's like, "Hi there, sorry to bother you. I want to talk to you about this." And he's like, "I don't know if I can do that." And he's like, "Just try it." And then he starts making sales. And the movie's, like, about unionizing and how capitalism will just fucking eat you alive, and how solidarity is important, and there's a bunch of other stuff which I don't.
It's one of those things that you go into it, and like from what I understood, I was like, so I knew this was going to be a movie that tackled.
It tackles some serious issues.
Tackled the nature of strikes and exploitation under capitalism and racial inequality. Yeah. Like, I knew those were things it was going to tackle, but it goes to places that I could never have predicted.
Seriously, I can't. Just watch it, because fucking Christ. Whatever you're thinking, wrong.
Yeah.
Fucking wrong.
If you can guess where it goes, then you are officially a wizard, and I don't know, you should go get yourself, I don't know, can you be tested for being a wizard? I don't know.
If you get it right, we know that you were involved in the making of this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, can recommend it just because it is a fucking trip.
Yes.
Terry Crews is in it, and it's the first time I've ever heard him say the fuck word, which was really, really weird. It's like, "Where's my fucking money?" And you're like, "Oh, Mr. Cruz. Language. But yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and that's me done.
Okay.
I've watched lots of movies. So, Drummer Matt.
Yes.
What have you been doing recently?
Well, first up, and very importantly, 100% of people on Twitter prefer the good kind of cheesecake to the crappy baked cheesecake.
Are you fucking... Did you just tweet a poll?
So that's the important thing.
You fucking mate.
Important cheesecake discourse on the MisanthroPod.
You know, I would fucking walk to your house and slap you.
Look, this works out well because the two of you have these differing opinions, and I couldn't give a fuck about cheesecake. So I'm a good, neutral.
You absolutely are not. I'm the authority because I eat all cheesecake. And all cheesecake is good.
No, but I can moderate the discussion.
Also, I feel so fucking betrayed. How dare you go to Twitter behind my back and talk about my ideas of cheesecake? Oh, you absolute... But I'm gonna wrong your knees. I'm so fucking mad at you.
Wrong his knees?
Yeah, I'm gonna make him bend wrong.
No. Oh, don't do that.
Unscrew his kneecaps and then
I'm
bend him
gonna
the wrong way.
pop them off because it's like a vacuum seal. So you stick a screwdriver in there. Off the kneecap comes, and I'm gonna put it on the back of his knee. So I will wrong his knee.
I feel like at this point we've just introduced a new series of things for people to get squeamish over. Like they're listening to that and going, "I didn't know I was squeamish about knees, but I am now."
I, for a space of 6 years as a child, was genuinely terrified that if I moved my legs too fast, my kneecaps would pop the fuck off. And no one told me different.
Well, as
and
we
then one day I
established-
was just kind of moving it around, being like, "Oh, it seems pretty attached," and then I just carried on and just didn't think about it anymore.
As our last podcast's title suggested, we are held together fairly firmly by our meat.
I mean, my meat's pretty lame.
It holds you together, though.
But your meat's Wib, so...
My meat's weird?
Wib.
Oh, you're my meat. What?
This is going to...
weird. So, anyway, moving on to what I've done.
Yeah, please.
I played some games. So, first up, because I'd finished Zelda, it was like, right, okay, I now have an excuse to buy a new, proper Nintendo game.
Hang on, I'm just going to make a note of times Drama Matt's mentioned Zelda. Oh, dang, Baker's Dozen, nice one.
Where's the one for how many times I've talked about Star Trek on the podcast?
Oh, that's a different notebook.
That is the notebook.
That is the notebook.
Okay, cool.
So, I bought the Switch to play the Nintendo first-party games, or the proper in inverted commas
bought a
Nintendo
Switch
games.
to play Nintendo games.
Exactly, because most, I've been messing about with other ones, but they're all on cross-platform normally. So I was like, okay, I finished Zelda, I can move on to the next one. What shall I get? So I bought Pokemon Let's Go, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it's dramatically cheaper to order the actual cartridge version than the download version.
Yeah, that is a weird thing with modern gaming, huh?
Yeah, it was like 35 quid
and
as opposed
then,
to 50 or something.
This is the thing with PC gaming that makes me laugh. So the last couple of times I've ordered a physical copy, it's just literally been an empty DVD case with a fucking CD key in it.
Yeah, but then that's cheaper than...
But I get a physical... Okay. I don't get the disc or anything, because discs have been pretty aggressively phased out.
Well, yeah,
it's all fucking download
modern games
codes
can't
now.
fit on discs anyway, so...
Yeah.
Ugh, I mean, the newest, modern warfare. The newest Call of Duty is, after severe patching, still, 206 gig.
Mm-hmm.
It is
obscene.
outrageous.
Yes.
It's maybe it's storing all the racial slurs that 12-year-olds will call you. Which is, that sounds like 206 gig. No, it's 200 gig and the game is 6 gig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
so I bought Pokemon Let's Go, and while I was waiting for that to arrive, I've been playing more. Did I mention it last time? Steam World Heist?
I don't think you
I don't
mentioned it
think
last
so,
time.
but
Did I not?
steam-powered giraffe are in that, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I think it was originally a 3DS game, and it came out in 2015 or something. So it's not new by any standards, but I think it's relatively newly ported to the Switch. I don't know. It's new for me.
Okay.
But
So
this game is really good.
Because I've played Steam World Dig, which I think was the
That was
first
the
game.
I was having a look, and there's like a few games within the sort of same universe, but not actually. They're not the same gameplay, or they're not really linked, or something. I don't really.
Yeah.
It's like the Conjuring universe, but not terrible because it's got the band Steam-Powered Giraffe in it.
It does, yes. The soundtrack is done by Steam Powered Giraffe, and then they show up in the game at playing at various bars.
I did see that, and it was just like, wow,
which is amazing.
Cool.
So yeah, this game it's like a 2D side-scrollery version of XCOM.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So you have like, okay, I'll start from the start. So the world it's set in a world where, for whatever reason, the people on the world are all like robots rather
because
than
it's
humans.
awesome, obviously.
Because I mean, yeah, it's awesome. And then at some point before the game starts, something has gone wrong and the Earth has exploded, and there's all these like fragments of it lying around. So most people live on spaceships, and then they all farm moisture because they need moisture to power their steam power. So there's like moisture farmers that are all on like far reaches of bits of the planet that have exploded off, and yeah, there's like a core systems near the center of where this planet was, which are all powered by like diesel powered royal bots and things. So that's the sort of universe. And yeah, the actual gameplay is you're just like, it's very Firefly-y. Like you're on this like ship and you're sort of smuggling some things and sort of doing legal jobs and sort of not just to get by, and then you get caught up in something bigger.
Nice.
But the actual gameplay, yeah, it's XCOM in that like you've got like a load of different characters, and as you go through the game you recruit more and more characters, all with like their own special skills. And you like equip them up and things, and then you take a few of them, like 2 or 3 of them on each mission. And then the gameplay is like XCOM, but side-scrollery. So you can like move a bit, and then you can either shoot, or you can move a bit more, or you can use one of your special abilities. And yeah, it's for saying it's like an old game, and it was made for like a console that, you know, isn't the modern console by any means. It's really good. The sense of humour in it is, yeah, the little quips is a very good balance of being funny and somehow not pushing the line of being annoying.
Okay, because that is the trickiest thing of like if you're watching comedy in games, because you'll generally hear things so many times that even the funniest line gets old quite fast.
Yeah, and the animation style is quite fun, and the weapons it's all obviously steampunky because you're steam powered robots.
Well, I mean, steam-powered giraffe is in it, so it'd be weird if it was like, I don't know, feudal Japan.
Yeah.
With robots. Although that does sound pretty cool. Feudal Japan with robots and like Wild West music sounds fucking legit. I've basically just described Cowboy Bebop, but without feudal Japan, because I was just like, that is Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, from that, sorry.
Yeah, if anyone's wanting an XCOM style game, but with a different setting and different sense of humour slightly, I recommend that. I have no idea if it's on. I assume it's on other things as well.
I'm pretty sure you can get it on like Uplay or something. Maybe like you can get it on PC. I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's on mobile, to be honest, as well. The sort of gameplay it is, it's like that'd probably work fine. I don't know, but anyway, I got it on Switch for pennies at one point on a sale. And yeah, as a little filler game, Pokemon Let's Go turned up, and I've played it for a bit, as I'll mention in a second. But like, I've mostly been going back to this Steam World Heist.
The heart wants what it wants.
It does. So yeah, Pokemon Let's Go. So I got Let's Go Pikachu because I can't resist the little guy.
I can't resist Eevee, so I have like 8,000 Pikachus on Pokemon Go. So
yeah, that is.
Oh my god, so I got my Lucario to like best friend in Pokemon Go today. And you know how when you get to best friend with them, they have a little badge, like a best friend badge?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's always on their chest. My Lucario is wearing it on his left thigh.
Good.
Which is super fucking weird.
The one I've seen that's the weirdest is, what's it called? The one that's just a series of gears.
Bronzor?
I thought Bronzor's like the big bell thing.
Gearmon, whatever.
Whatever it is,
the
one that's a couple of cogs. I can never remember its name. That one, it's misplaced, so it's actually like it's supposed to be on its body, but it's like the only time I've seen it, it was several feet to the right and rotating because the whole Pokemon was rotating. So it's just like,
oh, Pokemon Go is so fucking jank. I love it. It's so fucking jank.
Like maybe it is. Maybe it just bugged out the one time I've seen one. But yeah.
Honestly, don't fix it if that is a bug, because that is a feature.
Yep.
But yes, Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah, I mean, it's Pokemon Go, but while also redoing Pokemon Blue and Red and Yellow. It's... I don't know what I was expecting.
Is this the one where
because
they
it is
follow
exactly...
you around?
Yeah, so you get
Because
your...
I've seen so many, like, recut videos so it looks like a horror movie having, like, Mr. Mime chase people.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, that'd be...
Which is just like, oh, no.
I think you might be thinking of Sword and Shield because the
Maybe.
Pokemon are out in the world in that one.
Also,
Yeah, no,
I
they
have...
are. So they are
No,
in this
but
one.
companions.
Yeah, so
Like,
you
they
get
follow
your...
Yeah.
You get your either Pikachu or Eevee on your shoulder riding around with you, and then you can choose one of your other ones in your party that
follow
follows you
you.
like a few spaces behind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That just kind of chases you down.
And then all the wild Pokemon are all appear in the wild as well, like you see them, so you don't have to run through like the long grass and be annoyed if you're trying to get somewhere quick. You can just dodge them, which is amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's just all the ones I've
improvement.
seen of people doing shots of that have been from Sword and Shield. So
I've got a Rhyperior following me around at the minute. My Rhyperior's now... I can't remember my Rhyperior. Oh, her name is Ms. Peanut.
good.
She is like 3 times the size of my fucking character, and just staggers on behind. And I'm like, oh.
You just got Kaiju behind you. It's
I
fine.
literally just have a kaiju follow me around, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got it was a Squirtle and now it's a Wartortle following around, but because of the run cycle, they've got like really stumpy legs. The water cycle for them is amazing, and I love it.
That's it. I love like Cubones have a really cute because they've got really tiny legs and they've got a really really big chubby butt, so they kind of like waddle.
Yeah.
It is so cute. I love Cubones. Same with Charmanders. God, I'm a slut for Charmanders. The last like event they did, they had a Charmander with a Cubone skull on, and that is my darling little darling.
Wasn't that from like Halloween last year?
It was so good. And then I got a shiny top hat Squirtle, which is great because you can never evolve it. Fan-fucking-tastic. It's like, but oh no, but the Pikachus are fine. Anyway, I'm gonna stop bitching. Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a remake of the original games, and it's been a long time since I did them. And I'm like, why do I still remember this so much? From like, what, 20 years ago? I'm going to say?
20, 25.
Something like that.
It's like 98, something like that, isn't it? Like Pokemon?
97, I think.
Oh,
But yeah.
I can't remember. But yeah, it is just a remake. There's a few slightly different things. Like, I'm sure, did you guys play the original?
I played the original Red, Blue, and Yellow.
Ah, nice.
And I did not.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I
I'm
got
sure
I would trade Pokemon with myself. I saved up for like 2 weeks to spend £5 on a trade cable. How pathetic is that? But yeah, like basically my friend just was like, "Oh, I don't play this anymore because like I've got a 3DS." Well, no, not in that. That would have been really weird if he had a 3DS.
Just
But
a
he-
regular DS.
Just yeah, and he was like, "I don't fucking care, so you have them." And I was like, "Finally, I get to play Pokemon!" Like when I was like 14. And then on my Pokemon Yellow, I have the certificate you get when you catch all 151 Pokemon. Well, 150 because Mew was a
Event only.
an event only. So basically, you would go to game shops or whatever, and they just trade you a Mew as part of like a an event, which was like, God, feels like a billion years ago, doesn't it? But yeah, anyway, yes, Drama. I have played the original 3.
Yeah, so far I've just got up to the part where you go on the SS... Oh, what is it called? I can't remember. The boat.
Yeah, where you have to rub the captain, and he
yeah,
gives you like a potion or whatever.
Yeah, does that happen in the original ones?
Yeah. You go up to him and he's like, "Oh, I'm so seasick," and then you just like rub his back, and then you like rub, and that always made me laugh because it's like, yeah, just help the captain rub one out, and he'll give you a fucking antidote or whatever.
Good.
Oh god, I didn't even think about it like that. Oh no.
Maybe I was just a really dodgy. In fact, yeah, no, okay, checks out.
But yeah, it's good if you liked the original Pokemon games. It's that, and then also at some point later on, you can start trading between Pokemon Go and that, which is quite cool. I
okay, that's
basically
really
got
cool.
it so I can get Meltan and candies and evolve to Melmetal or whatever it is for Pokemon
Yeah,
Pokemon Go.
I have the Meltan, but I can't because it's like 400 fucking candy to
Yeah,
win
and it's like a
damn
20 kilometer to get one sort of thing.
It's,
so
it's
yeah,
like
no,
legendary rules.
Yeah, I'll there's ways of getting it in Let's Go. I don't know how it is yet. I've not got around to looking it up, but there's ways of getting a big load of candies for it. So I'll do
Yeah.
that, and then we'll sort it out. I've got you sorted. First one's free. After that, you know.
Ooh, get me hooked. I like it.
Yeah, not much more to say because it's so far basically identical.
Cool.
To the original Pokemon games.
It does have a
looks
really,
prettier.
really cute aesthetic as well.
Yeah,
it looks
does.
adorable.
It does. And there's a few quality of life things like, yeah, when you catch Pokemon, you don't fight them first. You catch them like in Pokemon Go.
Oh. Because the worst thing in the world was killing a Pokemon that has like a 5% appearance rate.
Yep. So yeah, and then when you get experience for catching them, and that goes equally shared throughout your entire party. And then when you do
you just start with XP share.
Yeah,
that's fucking
and then
legit.
when you do a battle, the Pokemon that battled get more, but everyone gets some.
Yeah, no, that's just standard XP share. That's really cool.
So you don't end up with, one who's like really low down because you never really use them, and then you've got to force yourself to use them, and it's just a nightmare.
Have you gotten to the Safari Zone yet?
No,
because I'm wondering if they will just ask you to throw rocks at Pokemon repeatedly. Because that was kind of horrible. I would always just spam bait and then just hope for the best. I spent like 6 hours there and so much money trying to catch a fucking Lickitung.
Yeah, I will keep you posted next time.
Yeah, definitely.
And the very last thing I've been playing, now I've got my PC back up and running, is I've played a little bit of Train Simulator.
I didn't expect that.
It was inevitable.
Yep.
And I've got to be honest, I'm going to disappoint many people, but I'm not hooked on it yet.
Oh my
I think,
God.
like Euro Truck Simulator, and American Truck Simulator, and Space Truck Simulator, Elite Dangerous, like they're definitely podcast games, or like watching Critical Role in the background, or whatever sort of games.
Yeah.
But you were still like engaged with them a bit, and you still had to actually drive and fly or whatever. But with this, you kind of.
I mean, it's literally on rails.
I know. It's like you press go, and then once you're going, you have to keep a bit of an eye out for like speed limits and things, and when to stop. And obviously, you've got to stop in plenty of time. But then beyond that, there's not so much in between. I don't know. I'm going to keep going with it because I want to see all the different trains, but I can't see myself getting as hooked as I did with those other ones.
You know what? I mean, good on you for trying.
Yeah, that's always been my thing with those type of games, is that for me, what I really want is less something where I drive trains. I want a train set simulator, effectively, is what I want.
Yeah.
And so just driving the trains is like, well, they go from one end to the other. The one exception, of course, being the PS2 classic video game, Extreme Express, where you race trains.
Isn't that the one where you went to buy it and the guy went, really?
No. No, what happened was that I bought another game called Groove Rider. That is a Scalextric, like slot car racing game, because I just happened to see it in my local game and was like, this looks ridiculous, I must have it. And I bought it, and when I bought it, the guy was like, I have something else for you, and went like scurried through like the back and came out with Extreme Express, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm already spending too much money on this stupid game. Because this was back when PS2 games were new, so this wasn't like, now where you can buy these things for a couple of quid. It was like actually cost me like more money than I'd like to admit.
Quid,
it wasn't that much. It was like a tenner, but
Oh, that's still too much.
But still it was still a lot for like a game that I was probably going to play for an hour.
Yeah.
But then many years later, I always regretted never picking up Extreme Express.
I think that's the only time I've ever heard you use an example of where someone tried to upsell and you regret it and wanted to buy it.
It is the only time anyone has ever tried to upsell me, and I have regretted not getting it.
That's crazy. Because usually you dig your heels in and get really angry.
I do. I hate it when people do it to me. I really do.
The thing is, it's like, would you like to go large for 50p? And you go, nah, I'm alright. And then they go, really? It's only 50p. And you're like, well, then you fucking go large. And then you start literally just throwing furniture at them.
That's not quite what happens, but that is what I feel like.
I was in Subway the other day because I thought I'd treat myself to a cup of coffee, which was life-changing, let me tell you. Oh. And the woman asked me, she was like, do you want a cookie with it? And I was like, nah, I'll eat it. That's the problem. And she was like, I mean, it's free. And I was like, I will take the cookie. And then I brought it home for you. But yeah, and I was just like, I like the game you're playing, Janet.
But then, I bought Extreme Express a few years back, and I remember you being really good at it, Matt. Like,
Oh my god, of course you played it together!
I had blanked this from my mind, but
Fucking hell.
Like,
That means you can experience it for the first time.
yeah,
again.
it was at our old house. It's it's a game that's in the list of things we'll make a video on one day, like a review thing.
Okay.
Well, you mean like that that really shitty PS1 disc where I accidentally doxed one of the game devs, like to the point where I found his mobile number.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing.
I thought I didn't like go out of my way to dox him. It's just because it wasn't a very popular game that this person had made. So just digging for information, I found his CV with his current address, his phone number, his children's name. And I was like, oh. And like, you know, when you do something and you immediately just feel like a scumbag, even though you didn't mean to. It's like, I didn't mean to see.
It's just the guy had all of his personal information just on the internet, and you're like, wow, okay, you shouldn't do that, mate.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yes, although that connection only makes sense if you know that we were going to make a video about that game.
Yeah. But we're probably not now.
I mean, maybe.
We will now.
It's on the list.
Like, comment, subscribe. What do you call a werewolf YouTuber? A like and subscribe. Huh? Huh?
The point was that as a connection, it only made sense if you knew the information that we were going to make a video on it. Okay. So it seemed like a complete non sequitur without that information.
A like and subscribe.
Matthew, continue talking about things you've done.
That is all I've done.
Okay, then
There's no hope. Watching a new TV series, but I'll talk about that next time because I want to see more of it first.
Okay, cool.
Questions.
What is the email address that people should send questions to, Snipe?
I hate you so fucking much. I forgot to set up the new one.
I was going to do that.
You know what? I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to do it fucking tonight. You know what? Note. Set the...
Was it like dot made... No, what was it?
Email up you...
It was like dial-up modem noises or something.
I'm not setting that up. It's just going to be Drummermat, like... yeah, whatever. Fuck.
MisanthroPod questions at gmail.com.
Yeah, but MisanthroPod is hard to spell.
I was going to do the one that we talked about last time, but I forgot what it was now. I was going to do that today.
Well, that's a good indictment for a name. Anyway, only Drummermat at snipeandwib at gmail.com. We will be changing it soon.
No.
Yes.
And I'll just sit here smugly, like, laughing at that. I called it that we'd all forget to do it last episode.
Wow, yeah, you're a really big penis pirate man. Wow, good.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Okay, let's relatively fly through these questions because it's quite late. So we have a few. First up, Wilbur.
Hello.
Have Wib and Drumblebutt ever tried the game Dwarf Fortress?
No. I've heard it is a nightmare that is fantastic, but takes a lot of getting into.
They are apparently making a newer one that has graphics. So
yes, the original game does.
I'm sorry.
Look, I know what the game looks like, and that sounds insulting, but it's really not.
Yeah,
so is it a text adventure?
It is one step up from a text adventure.
An ASCII adventure?
It has like blocks of colour. It's basically if you
it's like the
game
old, like, okay.
The game to look at is not unlike watching an old disk defragmentation screen.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah,
just watch a defrag screen. Shit.
I've heard quite good things, but never tried it. Snipe, you didn't get a question, so your question: what is your favourite cheese?
What is my favourite cheese? Light cheddar.
You're so white.
I am.
Wow.
Yeah, I hate...
We're completely blowing off from that then. Oh. This is a question to the both of you.
I occasionally dabble in medium. I swear. I swear. I have friends who eat mature cheddar.
It's the mayonnaise of cheese.
I really am. I'm embarrassingly fucking like... I'm just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question from Wilbur to the two of you. What's the format of your scripts for Codex compliant? Like, is it just a wall of text, or are there like images and files embedded in it? And that's
no, it's actually incredibly beautifully laid out, easy to see. It's in like cohesive paragraphs that are color coded for who's voicing them. Indents mean it's live action, and what's bold indent? That's like stage directions.
Yeah, if to be more specific,
Wib has a fantastic layout for this.
To be more specific, it is just text because it's just a script.
Yeah, it's just a script.
Yeah.
And then we bring it up on our phones and read the script.
Yeah.
To a camera. But yeah. That's a very, very, very interesting... Yeah, don't get asked that. But
Yeah,
no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wilbur.
Good. Okay, technician. Quick. If you could mash together two 40k units to make a new one, what would it be?
Dicks.
Okay.
Orcs have dicks.
Okay, I would like you to think about your answer and then give a different one.
A dreadnought and a defiler. No, what are the big spider boys called? They're defilers, aren't
That
they?
is a defiler, yeah.
Yeah. So that,
Well, I mean, a defiler's a little like a dreadnought anyway.
okay, then a defiler and Canis Wolfborn. Because then the wolf could be gigantic and have big old spider legs.
To give a similar answer to your initial one, based on some art that I've seen some people do, I actually would be down for like combinations of dreadnoughts with tanks like Predators. So basically, where instead of being a walker, they're controlling a tank. I remember seeing someone who did like a kind of, like... It was like a Predator book with sarcophagus in the front.
Cool. Also, I also have another answer that is really good and amazing. Gene stealers that are like the pred or dog aliens from Aliens, so they're like half and half. After they've absorbed like biomass, so you'd have like a Tau Renid. Patent pending.
Is that the joke you wanted to make? And you was like, right,
No,
how
I
can
literally
get
came up with that just off the bat. But yeah, and then you could have like chaos demons, but with like I know that's probably not quite.
You're probably getting more into like Kroot territory there.
Yeah, I know, but like it would be really cool to just have like certain little things that you could put on like Gene Stealers or whatever, so that they looked a bit different.
Yeah,
like,
different
so they
adaptations.
Had like or like some of them where they have like I know some of them do have like hooves and stuff, but like make them like blue. Or, like make them have more of a Tau kind of face or something like that. Or, or more muscular, more bipedal ones, like that are kind of orky. Or just super psychotically powerful ones that have eaten Astartes.
Yeah, I don't actually know, because I think they do just convert biomass straight. I don't think they take traits from them. They adapt to fight things.
Oh shit, yeah, I'm thinking. So yeah, basically
Kroot
just replace that with Kroot.
Yeah, because Kroot are the ones that actually adapt from the DNA. They take
Apparently, Kroot hounds are basically just wild Kroot that have just gone way off the fucking deep end.
They're Kroot that have eaten weird shit, and so they've gone feral.
Yeah.
They're basically what Fenrisian wolves are, but Kroot instead of Astartes.
Yeah.
Actually, another thing, which is just I'd like a combination of anything and grots so that I'd have more options for my grot rebellion.
That would be cool.
But it doesn't matter if they don't make them, because I can just bash like models together until they become goblins, so it's fine.
This is true. But yeah, Drummer, what about you?
I would very much like to combine Tau Pathfinders with the Cadian snipers.
Ooh.
Because I think that would look really cool. And I really want, it wouldn't really work because you couldn't do it rules-wise, because, Tau usually they'd get, stealth drones or they'd do some sort of technology. But I quite like the idea of having these, for some reason, this lot of Tau are cut off from a lot of the technology, so they're having to, adapt and, actually camouflage themselves and things.
That sounds super fucking cool.
I don't think it would work rules-wise.
Oh, they'd be like gorilla Tau.
Yeah. And they've all got you get ghillie suits and stuff, but then still with the Tau rail rifles or whatever.
But then they've got duct tape around them or hasty field repair. Dude, that is fucking legit.
This
so cool.
This does sound like something that is entirely possible to just convert. Difficult,
but effort
entirely
and
possible.
money.
Fair.
Yeah, and I only thought of it about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, why haven't you already made it?
Yeah, where's your fucking 2k points, you fucking casual?
Okay, next up, Pyro.
Hello.
If we could choose I can't even read my own writing. If we could choose a single one of the traitor Primarchs to have stayed loyal, and then a single one of the loyal Primarchs to go traitor, which would it be?
I would say it'd be really interesting to see Angron stay loyal.
Ooh, yeah.
Because he is fucking wrecked.
Like, I think, I mean, things like the there's been like the Dornian heresy, and there's one...
Which is cool.
That, had stuff like... there's one where I think it's Gilliman, who's like the architect of the thing. I can't remember what that one's actually referred to as. It's probably the Gilliman heresy.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
But I do really... I think there's a lot of interesting things you can do with that kind of thing, because some of them adhere to like certain archetypes and like I think one where Alfarius and Omegon stayed loyal, that could be interesting. Because they're sort of like, on the fence about everything anyway.
Yeah, so like having them fully commit.
Magnus staying loyal could be interesting.
That would be interesting.
I would of course like to see a take on Angron, because
that sounds really interesting to me. Like he'd be like how do you take the established character traits of Angron and the fact that he is fucking broken, and how do you turn that into a loyalist kind of
especially
thing?
Because he is fucked over super hard by the Emperor.
Yeah, exactly. So like that would be really interesting to see that.
It would be interesting. And as for like loyalist ones turning traitor, trying to think what would be
I would
good
say
one.
Vulcan would be interesting for me, purely because like he's kind of like like Angron's the busted guy, who's like obviously he's like a traitor, and Vulcan is the super nice guy who's obviously loyal. So like you swap them both around. Like I would see like Vulcan would be a traitor because like for more altruistic reasons. More kind of like good intentions, pragmatism.
Because the thing I think that when you're dealing with like that, these kind of ideas, is that quite a few of them have got their counterpart. That is so like you don't really need to see what Corvus would be like, or Corvus Corax would be like if he was a traitor, because the Night Haunter exists. You don't need to see
what Russ would be like if he was a traitor, because
Angron kind of is that.
Because Space Wolves are just a step away from Berserkers anyway.
Yeah, they're just Berserkers, but they are like leashed to do specific
like
things.
Leashed, yeah, exactly.
And like Dawn is basically loyalist Perturabo. Like they literally have a rivalry.
They literally
like,
have
it's a whole
fucking
thing.
like a fort building competition.
But so I'm not actually sure when it comes to loyalist ones. I mean, there's a lot that could be interesting, like seeing someone like Sanguinius fall would be interesting, or even seeing like Gilliman.
Yeah, I was going to say
seeing Gilliman fall, that would be intense.
Especially because in the story, he was basically off in the corner for most of the heresy because, Ultramar was being... Bad things were happening to Ultramar.
It was being bushwhacked, yeah.
Yeah, so... But it would be interesting to see, like... Because I think if you took, like, the sheer size of the Ultramarines, combining that with, like, some of the other, like... things like the Lunar Wolves, I think it would... That is something where you would have to do some interesting story things to make it so that Terra is able to, like, fight them off.
Yeah. And plus, it's got that delicious kind of, like... it's present there with Horus, he was the Emperor's favourite.
Fulgrim, I'd like to see Loyalist Fulgrim.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be a fun one.
That would be fun. What about you?
Yeah, like I said, I think Gilliman, mostly because I want to see how they would make the Ultramarines interesting if they were traitors.
Honestly,
they'd straight just go for Cinch, because just as planned, and they are master strategists.
Because they're blue.
Because they're blue.
I can say that I was always a bit down on Ultramarines, partially because, I started playing in 3rd edition, where Ultramarines, from, 2nd to, for quite a long time, Ultras were kind of seen a bit like the default and were everywhere.
They were the Scott Summers of Astartes.
But if you want to read anything that makes Ultramarines, if you don't like them, read some of the Horus Heresy stuff around them, like No Fear, is really good for making you go, wow, the Ultramarines can be really fucking cool.
It's just the fact that they were kind of forced as the poster child, so there's the immediate knee-jerk contrarianism.
Yeah, you don't want to go with the default.
You don't want to go with the default, you want to be special. You know, it's like, which, that sounds really offensive, but no, it's like, no, you want something to be special, you don't just want to go with the poster child, because that's boring. And like the whole, and that kind of...
Whilst you think I never ever play humans in, like, role-playing games.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. So it's like, yeah, the fact that they're actually cool. Gilliman is rad. And yeah.
He like, there's a whole section where he's on the outside of a spaceship punching word bearers to death. Like in the void.
How fucking cool is that?
It's pretty
Pretty
rad.
fucking cool.
Yeah, I think I am mostly playing up for the joke, to be honest.
Yeah.
Dude, it's fine.
He does also do a full-on, like, Taken-style speech. Like,
okay.
Like, basically, like, talking to the word bearers and Lorgar. Like,
I'm gonna fucking stab you.
Like, basically, okay, I thought there was, you know, you don't understand who you fucked with. I am going to find all of you and I am going to kill you super hard. You guys have no idea.
I have over 300 confirmed kills.
Yes.
he gives
the grim,
fucking,
dark US Marine fucking...
like, copy paste.
Copy paste, yeah.
Listen here, kid. I have... Oh my god.
I kind of want to, like, do, like, something that is supposed to be a dramatic reading of that part.
But it's just like a Microsoft Sam.
It does all the build-up to that, and then it just goes into that speech instead.
Yeah. So fucking funny.
Okay, very last question.
Okay.
Ian.
Hello,
With the release of 9th edition blast rules, Snipe, are your Space Wolf dreadnoughts really excited for blasting the Grot Rebellion to bits?
My dreadnoughts.
Sorry, I heard you started saying Dreadnought, and it just made me think of Uwu. Because that's basically how I talk to them every time I play. I'm like, oh my baby, and everyone is just like super uncomfortable.
You don't have many blast weapons.
I don't, honestly.
Yet.
I have melters. I have like one.
You've got a missile launcher.
I have one missile launcher. But he's like the stationary boy, where he's got the las cannon and the the thing. But no, I've got like melters. I've got assault cannons. I don't have any plasma, because fucking of course I don't.
You have a real aversion to plasma.
No, I've used a plasma like weapon like twice. I didn't like it, because that rolling a 1 was too scary. Even if it's more sensible now, I ain't doing it. I was just like knee-jerk, do not want.
I get you.
But yeah, no, I don't really have any blast weapons, so...
Because, yeah, they have become better. Because they were, like...
I do have some missiles on my Redemptor as well.
But they don't work like that.
But they don't work. They literally, they're just there for, like, anti-aircraft.
Yeah.
So...
So, yeah, it's a weird one, because, like...
Because, honestly, the way I play, I would rather charge in Murderfang and just carve a fucking path through them. That's way more satisfying to me than blowing holes and things.
Although saying that, I think the way it works is that it's anything that has, like, a roll for what it hits. Because I've not... it's been a little bit...
I haven't really paid attention, because I'm still like, no, I'm still good on 8s.
Yeah, it's basically like, I think you know, once there's like so many things, you basically have more guaranteed hits on blasts on like hordes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, when I'm building a grot army, I basically accept that most of my grots are going to die anyway. So
yeah. And that's just a risk you're willing to take.
That's a risk I'm willing to take.
But no, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to see like when all the rules come out, specifically for what we have and how everything balances out.
That is the end of the questions.
Oh no!
Good.
What the hell happened to your voice? Okay, shall I go make dinner now?
I suppose. Should we end the podcast first, or shall we just leave it running?
No. Welcome to Cooking Dinner with Snipe. Today I'm gonna cook chicken. Like pulled chicken with paprika, garlic, and another couple of herbs, in buttery white rolls with chicken gravy made from chicken fat.
Snipe is not going to describe what she's doing. You're just going to hear it. So
yeah, no, but I'm telling you what it is now.
How long do you think that's going to take?
Well, it takes about 35 minutes for them in the oven, and then it takes
I'm going to bed, so...
Okay.
Okay, well...
Okay, good night. So, yeah, it'll take me, like 5-10 minutes to, to fry them in the pan as well and season them properly.
So we can just let people hear that and then, have it, sitting there at the oven
Yeah.
You know, it will involve taking the whole PC and recording setup into the kitchen.
Honestly, I think this content is worth it.
So you'll hear a lot of thuds and bangs, which will make like normalizing out the audio a little bit more tricky because.
But honestly, again, this content is worth it.
It's definitely
message in and tell us how you want to hear me cook, but not tell you what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Probably, that will absolutely be somebody's fetish. They'll be sitting there going, "Oh, I can't tell if she's cooking chicken or beef."
Just be a bit of sizzle here, the occasional like swearing under your breath there, you know.
Yeah.
So
anyway, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Cooking noises with Snipe will be out next week. The first edition will be.
Is that your new podcast?
Yeah. Can you? I just upload like 40 minutes of just oven noises. And just me, like, cleaning dishes.
It does feel like one of those, like, novelty YouTube channels where it's like, I cook a meal in another room whilst unfitting music plays or something.
Do you remember that American lady who like, made a YouTube account, dumped, like, 12 videos, like, cooking videos, and then just never logged on again? And it was like, Cooking with Sarah, and she would just put, like, kilograms of sugar in everything.
This is not a thing I am familiar with.
I'll have to find it. But those were just so weird because, her recipes were really strange and, like, just had so much sugar and stuff in them. It was weird. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. And we shall see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Time to make some chicken.